Could the Miami flipping Dolphins be looking for another defensive coordinator? Or could they not? What is up, Finn fans? Just ripping the calendar because today is a fact day. So we are on the 21st of January, getting closer to things that matter to teams that aren't in the playoffs or Super Bowl. So the Miami Dolphins potentially could be losing their defensive coordinator as well as another position. And I'm going to jump right into that and talk about it. So first, we got this from Mike Reese. He said the Patriots have requested permission to interview Dolphins outside linebacker coach Ryan Crow for the defensive coordinator opening, per source. Crow coached under Mike Vrabel in Tennessee from 2018 to 2023. So there's that. So the Dolphins could potentially be losing one of their defensive coaches, as well as have lost the wide receiving coach, as well as lost our special teams coordinator. But those two were fired. And then this also was reported from Tom Pelissero. The Saints are bringing in Dolphins defensive coordinator Anthony Weaver for a second interview for their head coaching job on Wednesday, per sources. So tomorrow. Weaver impressed in multiple interviews with Washington and Atlanta last year, and now is in the final rounds again. Now, we have already heard that the Dolphins players love him. Everyone loves him around here. I showed you the tweet that, not the tweet, but Jeff Darlington, when he was on the dive bar, your hat's right there. He said that he likes the Dolphins like him, and the Dolphins will try their best to get him to stay by throwing more money at him, yada, yada. But if you got a head coaching job, you're going to leave for the head coaching job. You know, you could be one of the highest paid defensive coordinators, or you could be a head coach. It's like, you know what I'm saying? So we could possibly lose out on Anthony Weaver. Now, Anthony Weaver really helped this defense last year. I will say this, and again, it's the same thing I say with the offensive line. It's the same thing you could say with all these things. Because we have to be fair. We have to take a step back, and we have to be fair. Because everyone looks at Tua Tagovailoa's numbers and they say, oh, he beat up on bad teams. But then they'll look at other things and be like, well, he had a good offensive line in front of him. Look at the ranking. Not realizing that those rankings were against the bad teams and the bad defenses. Or look at the defense he had. He had a very good defense. Now, don't get me wrong. I really like what Curtis Weaver did, and I would love for Curtis Weaver to stay and keep that continuity with that defense. But the numbers that we're seeing coming from the defense last year were good in instances, but also when you face the good teams, aka the Buffalo Bills, aka the Arizona Cardinals, aka the Jets the first time, the defense was non-existent, right? So let's take it with what it is and look at it at face value, because the defense did do what it needed to do, and it was also banged up pretty bad. So give Curtis Weaver the credit, but also, if we're going to be, over criticizing, Tua Tagovailoa and some other things, keep it 100% across the board. So Curtis Weaver, though, obviously did a very good job. Again, in my opinion, he did. He's getting opportunities coaching wise. So if the Miami Dolphins lose out on Curtis Weaver, Anthony Weaver, and I said Curtis Weaver probably about 2 or 3 times, and you're already commenting here below, you said Curtis Weaver said blah, blah, blah. If they lose out on Anthony Weaver, who could be a replacement? Now, my number one is Robert Saleh. Now, this is from Jeremy Fowler. He said that former Jets head coach Robert Saleh had a second interview with the Jaguars scheduled for Friday, per source. Saleh acquitted himself well in the first interview and getting a longer look. Now, there is a possibility that he gets the head coaching job, right? Mike Silver came out and said this, because I want Robert Saleh to be a Miami Dolphin defensive coordinator if we don't have Weaver here. And I'm pretty sure he would love to be in Miami. He has he's familiar with Mike McDaniel as well as Shanahan. Obviously, there's a 49ers connection. So Mike Silver said this: if Saleh doesn't get one of the head coaching jobs he has interviewed for, it'll be Saleh, replying to Need some Niners DC news, Mike. Is it Saleh or Staley at this point? So he said that. So I was like, listen, I got to help out my guys and girls on my channel and get down to the nitty gritty and get to the facts. So I did my due diligence and I asked Michael Silver. I said to him, no way McDaniel can entice him to Miami if Weaver gets a head coaching job, right? And I'm like, he's not going to answer me. It's Mike Silver. He ain't going to answer me. Well, he answered me. He said, anything is possible. Just telling you what I believe will happen. And then I proceeded to say, I feel you. And then put the gif of, please. So now he feels that Saleh is going to be the DC for the 49ers, which makes sense. He was the DC there. He'd probably go back. Very easy transition. Don't have to worry about anything. But like he said, anything's possible. So could there be a possibility that he doesn't get a head coaching job and the 49ers are like, hey, you want to come back? And Mike McDaniel's like, hey, Saleh, why are you coming to Miami, right? Stephen Ross is going to write you a fat check. Do you see what he did for Fangio? He's going to write you a fat check to come be the defensive coordinator down here. Help us turn this mamma jam around and go beat the Jets twice a year for what they did to you this past season. I feel like that's a very enticing offer to go twice a year and smack around the Jets a little bit because of them firing you and putting you through all that garbage and Woody Johnson being a horrible owner. And so, you know, I would say it's a 75% chance he's going to be the defensive coordinator for the 49ers. But there's still that 25. He comes to Miami. So we take Robert Saleh, we move him aside. I got 3 other names on my list that I would be interested in. Now, I have a video coming out, if not this week, definitely next week, talking about what happens if 2025 fails. Because me and Omar kind of hinted upon it, but I'm going into full detail and telling you what happens if 2025 fails. Because we already know that Mike McDaniel and Chris Greer's jobs are on the line. So they need to do everything they possibly can this season to clear up the cap space, to bring in free agents, and to make this a playoff winning team. They have one off season to do it. You would think that's not fair. Why only a one off season? Well, because they had 3 to do it and they couldn't do it. So you got one more. That's it. So I will go into detail because I'm going to name some people and you're going to probably be like, they're not going to want to come here because, you know, God forbid, you know, we do suck. And then da-da-da-da-da. I'm going to talk about all that in a video. So you're going to have to subscribe if you're not and put on the notifications. So one name I have on here is Wink Martindale. Now, right now he is in the college football. He's, I think, a defense coordinator in college football. He has that Ravens mindset. He has the Curtis. Why do I keep doing that? The Anthony Weaver defensive mindset, because Anthony Weaver got some of his ideas from Wink Martindale. He's obviously been a defensive coordinator in 3 different stints with the Denver Broncos in 2010, with the Ravens in 2018 to 2021. He won a Super Bowl with them, and recently with the Giants in 2022 to 2023. So Wink Martindale, not my number one choice, but I would say, you know what, all 3 of my number one is obviously Robert Saleh, but I would say all these 3 are my one of my 2s, right? 2A, 2B, 2C, because I got 3 of them. But I like Wink Martindale. And I know some of you aren't. And I know some of you are probably going to be like, he sucked here, because people can't get better. But I think him already having Anthony Weaver here, having him come in, it wouldn't be such a juxtaposition of the defense. The guys that we have here and have had that Anthony Weaver defense installed all offseason and have played in it all season, it's not that going to be that crazy of a difference once Wink comes in. And also Wink Martindale's going to get him going. Wink Martindale's not going to sit here and be best friends with you. It's kind of like what Fangio did. He's going to be like, let's go. And Wink will bring in his guys, and hopefully guys will want to come here and be coached by Wink. There's all of these things that I think about, right? So there's Wink Martindale. There's also Patrick Graham. You're like, I've heard Patrick Graham before. He was the Miami Dolphins defensive coordinator in 2019, and then he left. And I remember at first when he left, I was like, what the crap? Because you cannot leave from one position to another horizontally, if you know what I'm saying. You can't be a defensive coordinator somewhere and then be a defensive coordinator somewhere. You have to get somewhat of a promotion. So he left here in 2019 and 2020 and became a defensive coordinator / head coach assistant with the New York Giants. And his first year there, he had the Giants 19th in points, 20th in yards, 16th in pass, 10th in rush. Did pretty well here. Also, Omar Kelly kind of dropped a little bit of a hint. Go back and watch that video where he talked about the real reason that Patrick Graham left in 2020 after the 2019 season, and it surprised the crap out of me. So if you want, go back and watch that video. He was also with the Raiders from 2022 to now, and in 2023, he had them as the 9th best pass defense, the 15th best in yards, 12th best in pass, and 21st best in rush. So I wouldn't be upset with bringing him back. I think he, obviously there's names out there that people wanted him to be their defense coordinator. I think he was a name being brought up for the Indianapolis Colts opening, and his name's also being brought up for the Bengals defensive coordinator opening. So that's a name. And another name that I'm very interested in is Jim Schwartz. Now, Jim Schwartz was with the Tennessee Titans in 2001 and 2008. He was with the Buffalo Bills in 2014. He was with the Philadelphia Eagles in 2016 to 2022, where he won a Super Bowl. Again, another Super Bowl winning defensive coordinator. And he's currently with the Browns. He started there in 2023, and he's currently with the Browns now. And again, you can entice him to come over if assistant head coach or defensive coordinator, blah, 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 right? You give him that little promotion. Now, all of these potential defensive coordinators, you might say to yourself, why come here? Money. How do you think we got Vic Fangio to come here? He did not want to come to Miami. He wanted to stay in Philadelphia. And if you say, no, he didn't, go back and listen to his pressers where he literally, without saying it, said it. They asked him, hey, if the tampering didn't happen, would you have stayed in Philly? And he's like, I can't answer that. Well, that's an answer right there. And that's the thing that kind of sucks, because you look at Mike McDaniel's situation. First year, he had to keep on Boyer. Didn't want to keep on Boyer. So after that year, he got him out of there. Then we bring in Fangio. Fangio never wanted to be there, but we threw a big old fat check at his face. He didn't want to be here. There was a big old fight between him and apparently, not fight, but like a disagreement on style between him and McDaniel. And obviously now we know it's because this was a country club and people were coming in late and yada, yada. And now we have Anthony Weaver, who's not being fired or released. He's just possibly getting a better job, promotion as a head coach. So, one of the three is a good thing. Yeah, we got a very good defensive coordinator. The other two, one was thrown on him. The other one, you just didn't know how to do it, and he didn't want to be here in the first place. So again, if Anthony Weaver leaves and the Dolphins can somehow, some way convince Robert Saleh to not go back to San Francisco and to come to Miami, that'd be interesting. And what I would do if I'm the owner, and I'm like, Mike McDaniel calls me. He's like, look, I want Robert Saleh here, but he's got a connection with San Fran, and I got to figure out a way to get him to come here. Mr. Ross, can you help me figure out a way to get here? See, Ross, fine. I'll handle it. Pick up the phone. Beep, bop, boop, bop, beep, bop, boop, bop. Call up Robert Saleh. Hey, Robert. Stephen Ross, Miami Dolphins, how you doing? I'm hearing you're leaning towards going to San Fran as their defense coordinator, going back home. I get it. Listen, you come here, first off, it's Miami. It's beautiful here. You have a nice house, living on the beach, stepping on the beach. You ever see SpongeBob? No? Okay, sorry. Come here. I'm gonna sign you a big check. Make you the highest paid defensive coordinator. Also, don't tell Mike this, but if 2025 falls flat on its face, you could potentially become the interim head coach. And then if you do a great job, you can become the head coach. Best of both worlds, man. Why don't you come to Miami? How you say no to that? How you say no to that? So we'll see. But obviously, Robert Saleh, Jim Schwartz, Wink Martindale, Patrick Graham. There are some other names out there like Staley. There's other people with potential, with connections to my brain's not working. Mike McDaniel. Obviously, we went through this whole process when we were looking for Anthony Weaver, or eventually got Anthony Weaver. So I'll keep you guys updated. Obviously, like I said, Anthony Weaver's going to meet with the Saints tomorrow. We'll see if they sign him or hire him as the new head coach. If they don't, fantastic. Not a big change. And then he continue to build and bring in his guys. And hopefully we win. But comment below. Let me know what you think. Who would you want as a defensive coordinator if Anthony Weaver's gone? Do you think they can entice Robert Saleh not to go to San Fran? Let me give you the fact for today. In 2022, the Dolphins sent 4 players to the Pro Bowl for the first time since 2016. They did more in 2023. Some of these facts are just not great. I'll say that. Appreciate you guys. I'll see you tomorrow. I got a special video for you tomorrow, and then we're going to pick who's going to the Super Bowl on Thursday. And I will be live for the Kansas City Bills game. Hopefully I see you guys there. But like usual, stay classy. If ends up.